This is Beyond the Front Door podcast with Lindy and Rhea. We're opening the door to real stories from our community. Business owners, leaders, dreamers, and doers, sharing the journeys that shaped them. Our goal is simple: to support, spotlight, and celebrate the people around us. Come on in.
Welcome, everybody, to Beyond the Front Door podcast with Lindy and Rhea. And we are excited to finally have who we consider to be the third star of the show. Warren, behind the scenes star, Warren Appel from the Geek Garage.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's about time.
Sitting in this
chair and not helping us manage cords and cameras and sound.
Really good over here.
Thank you. It's all very contained over there, isn't it?
It is. Yes. So for the people listening who don't know, Warren helped us set up the podcast.
Yep.
In the beginning, and then we just revamped everything and moved some cords, and we literally can't even do that without him.
Well, it's tricky. It's a bunch of equipment, and you need it to work a certain way. I mean,
and I wanted to move things for so long, but I was just too scared. Like, it's like, don't unplug a single thing or it will not work properly.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Oh, I'll just call Warren, and he will vanquish the vexations." Yeah. That's what I do. I'm the fixer of stuff and things.
So. Yes. Well, like I said at the ribbon cutting, if we'd only done that the first go around when we put this together, we wouldn't maybe have such PTSD about it. But we learned our lesson. And the second go around, you were the first person we called. So there we go.
The push buttons were so much fun, though.
Oh, it's been a good time.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, well, I guess we want to share your story with the world. So we're wondering if you'll tell us a little bit about yourself, like how long you've lived in Cheyenne, where you came from, your careers up to this point. If you have a family, if you want to share about that. Gotcha. We just want to know all the goods.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And if you'd like to speak in any other voices, we would like that also.
Well, sometime, yeah, I might get there. No, so my family actually goes way back in Wyoming. My great grandfather was a first licensed dentist in the state of Wyoming.
Really?
He came here, set up his shop. He actually had an office in the Heinz building early in his career. Later on in his career, his home was actually 122 West 25th Street, which is the Hirschler building now. I actually have a hand-colored Stinson photograph of the home.
What his house looks like there?
Yeah, exactly what it looks like. It's really kind of cool. But he came out of Northwestern from dental school, came to Cheyenne, was practicing here. He was also a musician and was playing in the band of the Atlas Theater when my great-great-grandmother happens to be coming through on a traveling theater show. She and her brother, they grew up as acrobats. They performed in Denver and all over the place, later on some Mississippi River boats, and she got sick in her early 20s and decided that she didn't want to do the river boats anymore. She wanted to go on this theater circuit, and she ended up in Cheyenne. And so she was singing on the stage of the Atlas Theater here in Cheyenne when she met my great-great-grandpa. And the rest, as they say, is history.
So I'm just trying to...
And then fast forward however many years, you're on the stage of the... No.
Well, and my wife and I got married on the stage of the Atlas Theater, actually. We met doing theater. So that's, kind of cool. Skip a whole bunch of history. But yeah, we ultimately ended up getting married because where else would we possibly do that? So that's kind of a cool little bit of history. But yeah, I have family that goes way back in Wyoming. I myself have only lived here as an adult. I grew up in northern Utah primarily.
Okay.
Came back. I've lived in Cheyenne since 2012. Wow. So that's
time flies when you're having fun.
When you see, I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, it's 14 years. Wow, that's insane. Okay, well, 14 years I've lived in Cheyenne now. And
can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yeah.
I need to revisit the situation of your great-great-grandmother being on a traveling theater situation, comes to Cheyenne, meets your dad, then she just hops off the traveling theater and stays here?
More or less. That's kind of how it happened.
I mean, I'm the courage behind that maybe. I don't know. There's something about that makes me think you're going to join this traveling wagon, for lack of a better way. You'll stay there and meet the man of your dreams and set up camp and do your thing.
That's it seems kind of crazy, but that's the best story that we
Can come
have.
up with.
Well, it's the best story that we have, right? The one that, like, I still have, to this day, I still have his safe that was a hand painted, hand commission that he keeps the dental gold in. I have her little tiny, it's a 32 S&W short, a little tiny mother of pearl handled revolver. She actually wore in her corset when she was doing the river boats and whatever, because as you can imagine, those are some handsy gentlemen.
That's what I mean. She must have had some sass to her.
She had some chutzpah. Yeah, definitely.
To make that decision, first of all, you're carrying a gun in your corset and you're in a traveling, performing thing, and then you find the man of your dreams and set up camp. You've got some grit. Spice and some grit.
Yeah. So
yes,
I
good
come
for
from
her.
Some cool stock.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That's fun. Fun history.
Yeah. So been in Cheyenne for 14 years now. I've been with the Geek Garage for almost 4 years, which is kind of crazy also to think about. But I have a background in everything from political science. I've done a little bit of everything. My degree is in political science. Maybe someday law school. I don't know. But for now, I'm really happy doing what I'm doing. And I've always been kind of a techie guy. I started tinkering with computers when I was 11. I built my first computer at my kitchen table when I was 12. So when I say I literally have 30 years of experience doing all of this, yeah.
Wow.
Not kidding. So it's kind of fun.
That's more than kind of fun. I think that's awesome.
And you know what I think is even cool is we called you because of the Geek Garage and we're like, ooh, we need a tech person. But then we got someone who actually had knowledge of like other things like sound, because you have a background in theater and radio and all these things. Like, so a normal person who does computers isn't going to then have all of that.
Right.
But we did for him to like help us with even more.
Because it is a little bit of a production what we do.
Right.
So
with cameras and things like that.
Well, and I've always been a learner. That's been kind of a curse and a blessing all at once. And I have one of those photographic memories that most people find really irritating because I just remember stuff. But anytime I've had an opportunity to learn a thing or to tie something together, something that's at the fringe, I've been fortunate, as I call them, the interesting villagers, the people that are kind of on the friends. Sometimes these are friends of your family, or maybe they go to your church, or you know them through school or some other way, but this is some interesting adult that wants to teach you something. And I was very fortunate growing up to have lots of interesting villagers around who wanted to teach me, who were willing to be patient with me when I screwed up, because I did often. And to just kind of tie all of the pieces together. So yeah, my love of theater and the performance, doing radio, all of those things for years, it just really blends itself back in. And so it was fun to have this project, because this is not often the sort of thing we do, but even since this, we've done a number of other projects helping set up streaming for churches and things like that, that are really trying to grow their audiences and meet their audiences where they are. So it's cool stuff.
I think I noticed that about you. You have kind of a curious mindset, which I think is a huge leadership trait. When you can walk into any situation and you kind of audit and assess first, right? And you have that curious mindset, like, because you've walked in here before and you're like, so what are we doing today? and we're word vomiting because we don't know the exact language.
Would be cool, but we don't even know it's possible.
And you're like, not so much that, but maybe this or whatever. So what I've liked is that you've listened to everything we've said and given us the information to take it that as far as we can with what we have, right? Like, there's clearly more sophisticated, bigger ways with the right amount of funding that we could do this. But this is the absolute best way we can do this with what we have. And it's working out pretty amazing.
I would say so. And it's been super fun. Again, thank you. You're so kind to say these nice things. It's been really fun to help with to help with this project and kind of hear as you guys have been growing your user base, and of course to come to your ribbon cutting ceremony.
Yes,
That
that
was
was so
really
nice.
cool. And oh my gosh, like all these people clapping at me and hi, like I'm Warren, I'm the guy over here in the corner.
We like that guy.
Yeah. So what'd you do before the Geek Garage?
Well, actually, I was with the state of Wyoming for not quite a decade. Originally with the Department of Workforce Services, did a number of work with other agencies with the governor's office, and then finished up with the Wyoming Business Council before I went. And
That's really funny because the guest we had that was just here before you was the Deputy Director of Workforce Services,
okay,
Lisa Oswald.
I love Lisa. So I was
Yes.
the executive assistant to the director. Lisa was the deputy director when I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, so what, you guys literally just crossed paths.
Yeah, she just left before you got here.
That would not be the first time that that's happened to Lisa and I. Hi, Lisa. Since you're watching, I'm going to text you when this is done. To tell you. No, I love Lisa. Many good memories. It was a lot of fun to work with her and with Joan Evans. She was the director when I first got to Workforce Services, and they were the ones who ultimately connected what I was doing for them at Workforce Services with the governor's office, and kind of doing that, which is focused on government performance and how do we track, from Department of Corrections and the tracking recidivism rates to how do we track how long we're getting people back off of unemployment, how long are we getting them back into the workforce after an injury, those kinds of things, and really using data to drive government decisions, which was kind of where my educational and political science came from. But again, I've always been a techie guy.
But that's kind of a marriage between tech and political science. I mean, it's not, I guess, super surprising that you'd end up at the state doing that kind of stuff. It
data
kind of flows together.
Collecting data and analyzing it and stuff in tech. Yeah.
And putting all of the pieces together. How do we do it smarter, better, and more efficiently, right? Like you would often complain about how wasteful government is. For me, a big part of what I enjoyed during that time was how do we make government more efficient, or where it cannot be more efficient, at least more accountable.
Sure.
Because who doesn't like that?
Right. We all like accountability and efficiency.
Absolutely.
For sure. Interesting. So then what made you decide to make the leap? That's what we like to share, those jump stories.
Well, it was the long and the short of it was just time to make a change. And it was really kind of the strangest thing about it was, on paper, I'm not a tech guy. And I even said this when I submitted my application to Geek Garage. I said, I'm not a tech guy. I've done tech stuff like in between literally everything I've ever done, deploying systems, troubleshooting things, supporting my own equipment, my own teams. But so much of what I have has either been trained to me because of other people, again, the interesting villagers, the supervisors I had that were willing to teach me and train me. But also just that on the job experience that, it was, what else can I do, and how else can I leverage what I know, and turn it into something powerful. And so, doing the technology work, really helping it make sense, especially for small businesses, which is my primary focus at the Geek Garage.
Is even the voice on the Geek Garage when you call
the music?
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I'm actually on the music on hold of a few places around town.
You are?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's Warren.
Well, and that's some of that ties into my erstwhile work with theater and doing radios. I still do voiceover work from here and there, and have recorded some audiobook stuff, and I have that voice. So,
what was I going to? So, okay, all that's awesome. What all does the Geek Garage do?
So Geek Garage is really focused on three kind of, they call the pillars. Number one is retail. We sell new Lenovo all-in-ones and laptops, and we have our own line of custom built in-house desktops that we build to spec in-house.
That's cool.
Using off-the-shelf components, that we source. We figure out what is the best way, literally like building a hot rod where you tune your intake and your exhaust. And so you get the maximum throughput all the way through. Building a computer is kind of the same thing. Building a server, building a network, very much the same. And so it starts kind of, as you mentioned, Rhea, going into a place and asking lots of questions and just listening. Tell me what you need. What do you think you need, right? I don't know. I'm merely just going to pick this apart and help you kind of figure
Sure.
out where we want to go. And then we have a number of guys in our shop that we all kind of have different backgrounds, different specialties. Most of the guys in the shop are gamers, and I am not. I'm a retro gamer, like some old Nintendo, some Nintendo 64. I'm there. But the modern games, I just am not there. But we've got some guys who really love racing sims, VR, all this kind of
And I was
stuff.
gonna say, and the computers and gaming with on the my son's always
Mhm.
owns a computer.
Mhm.
And I think that's what they're using mostly a lot, right?
They are.
Because they're streaming and doing all of that.
Yeah, it's really it's the advent of Discord and Twitch streaming and all of that has really changed what gamers. It used to just be people were just playing
Playing a
video
game.
games by themselves in the
Yeah.
basement in the dark,
Mhm.
and now it's
Now you're playing people anywhere.
it's a
talking
podcast,
to them.
Mhm.
right? Literally, you're doing a broadcast while you're playing your game with your friends. That takes a lot of compute power to do that well and to do that efficiently. And so we've got guys that will help people build computers. I do the same thing when people build networks and servers. What do you need? And what are your objectives in that? So that's kind of, our retail side of things. We do also break fix. So cell phones, tablets, you drop your screen, you break your screen, your tablet, you need new battery, those kinds of things. We do those repairs in
Are you one of
house.
only
That's nice.
one of? There's not very many in town that do that, right?
There aren't many in town, no, that do that. And of the places that do, some of them are shipping their equipment out actually to a third party provider. And so it takes a little bit longer to get those devices out. We're also hearing in some cases that some of them are using some really kind of scary, kind of high pressure tactics to kind of grow their base. And we're very transparent in our pricing. We're very transparent in the parts. We use only the top quality parts.
Mhm.
These are our devices, right? We depend on
It's
these.
literally a computer in your hand.
Absolutely.
I think we
Yes.
forget that it's not just a
Mhm.
phone. Like, this is expensive.
It's very expensive, and so be nice to them. But if and when they break, bring them to us because oftentimes we can fix them, and fixing can very frequently be cheaper than the cost of a full-out
Replacing.
replacement. I mean,
Mhm.
and who doesn't need a few extra days in their budget, right?
Right. I try to keep my last phone I had, I think I was, there for a little while. I was in that cycle of just upgrading like every 2 years.
Mhm.
And I decided
They
with
try
my
to
last
pressure
phone.
you to do?
No, well,
They're always like,
they're there for a
"Remember,
little
here's an
while.
upgrade. You're ready for an upgrade. You
There
want
for a
an
little
upgrade?
while,
You
though,
want-
technology was advancing really quickly, right? And so it was like all these new things were happening when you got a new phone. But I do feel like it's kind of leveled out a little bit. I'm not saying that there aren't some cool features, but with upgrade or when they update, some of those features still land on your phone. And so my last phone, I think I had it for 5 years. I held on to it for as long as I possibly could.
Mhm.
And then I was just running into issues where would be talking to somebody, but I couldn't hear them very well. Like something was happening with the audio and I just
Mhm.
wasn't. And I finally looked at my husband and I'm like, well, I could fix it, but I've had this phone for 5 years. It's probably time to do something different. But I think if you buy it, if you're a year or two in, you don't really want to have to upgrade again. Like get it fixed.
$1,400 for a new
No.
phone.
Yeah.
And you get to a point 4, 5, 6
Yeah.
years out where now some of the apps that you like don't
Yeah.
work, or right. We're
Right.
looking at that right now with the desktop PCs in Windows 10. They end of life that in October, and so that's kind of forced this huge overchurn in people replacing their computers to get with kind of the new security updates with Windows 11. So
Got it.
same thing. It's that never-ending churn. But we also believe that again, as a break fix shop, that repair is noble. That fixing stuff and getting the maximum kind of life you can out of it is important. So that's the second pillar of Geek Garage, and the final third one is small business. And that's again primarily what I'm focused on, which is a very kind of bespoke solution. What do we go into the place, and what do you need? Where are the where the technology gaps. They're of course coming off pandemic, and so many people were sent at home. They were working from home. Now we see a lot of people that are returning to work. Well, people have a lot more gadgets. You might have sent them home and they had a cell phone, and now they come back and they have a smartwatch. And sometimes they have more than one smart gadget on them. They have their computer, they have their tablet, they have their phone. It's a lot more congestion. It's a lot more pressure on the networks and the systems. It creates its own kind of security risks because we don't always know where those devices have been. We don't know what the upkeep has been on them. And certainly if they belong to an employee and not to a company,
there's far more content on those things.
well, there's lots of content on there that we have to worry about. But also, the potential security risk if someone has installed an app that is now allowing itself inside your firewall, inside your work network. And so making sure that we're building networks that kind of accommodate that, but also do other things like signage, that do phones, that do networks, and surveillance. We talk security is a big thing, and everyone is talking about wanting to be safe in this world. It's a scary, scary world. Just last 2 weeks ago, I live downtown. My wife and I do. Had kind of a scary event with some kind of somewhat known creeper trying to push open some back doors of some businesses right downtown in broad daylight. And I caught them on my cameras. I have the same cameras at my home that I install in businesses because they're that good.
Right.
And it's worth having that always on eye, but it's all built on the same network platform. And so we're not pigeonholing network and saying surveillance this and phone and all of this. We can actually do it holistically. We can do it a lot more inexpensively and make the technology easier for a business owner to manage or not, because you have your own business to run. You don't really want to
You
have
just
to
want all the
manage
things to work, and you don't want to be worried.
But I bet about how many people out there are kind of like you and me in the beginning, where we think we can try to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we muddled through it for a while before we're finally like, okay, this doesn't even make sense. We're just going to pay for the professional to come in and help us with this to make it more efficient and better. So I'm just curious. I'm guessing we can't be the only ones that kind of go through that process where there's people that contact you and they're like, okay, we tried to do this ourselves.
So yeah, there's we've tried to do it ourselves, and now we're kind of at our wits' end, and we recognize we really need help.
Some help. Yeah.
The other kind, which is, I hate to say, far more common, is the ones that have actually had something happen. They've had a data breach.
Yeah.
They've had a data loss. They've had a critical system go down. In some cases, sometimes they don't know where their data lives. Was it backed up? Who else had access to it? Was it encrypted? Like, there's so many questions about the data now. And this applies not only to businesses, but even to people. Like, you think about all of the data that we accumulate on our various devices, the videos and the pictures we shoot, the voice notes that we send to our spouses to say, hey, I love you in the middle of the day, right? It's huge amounts of data. Where does it live? Where is it backed up? And so, and a lot of times with businesses, they're recognizing they have no idea. How do we get a handle? How do we put our data in one place where we can use it? Everyone can use it, especially with, again, pandemic. Now we have workplaces and we have people all over
hybrid
the place.
situations.
They may not be coming into the office, but they still need the same documents and everything we have here. How can we make that available to them? And so that's a big part of what I do. We're looking at those solutions that we've tried the various things. Now we want to really push it up that extra notch.
We just had Laura from Cyber Wyoming on. Was it last week? Kind of talking about this similar thing in terms of data and protecting your data, and that the people that are I wouldn't call them people, the forces that are out there are far more, they are far more sophisticated than we are.
They are. And Unfortunately, we see a lot of that in our line of work is a break fix. We are fortunate to have developed a reputation with many of the financial institutions around town. When they get that phone call that, someone got into my computer, they'll say, get your computer over to Geek Garage, have them go through it, have them make sure that there isn't anything funny in there. Very frequently, the way those attacks happen is it's just a lack of sophistication. You get that pop up that says your computer's infected, you have to act now, call that number, right?
And you just panic without thinking.
Right. And
Yep.
we have had people come to our shop before to tell us that, they were about to hit send on $40,000 worth of Bitcoin before it clicked to them that maybe this isn't what I think it is.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, I mean, and some people go even further than that. And the scary thing is with Bitcoin, um, and the police officers will even tell you as they investigate these kind of crimes, it's gone. They can trace it right to the Bitcoin envelope in the Caribbean that opened it, but they have no jurisdiction there. So the money is functionally gone. And you're talking someone's life savings, poof, like that. So the number one thing we tell people is don't call the number. We are a tech shop, and it is almost impossible to get Microsoft on the phone. If you get Microsoft on the phone in less than 3 minutes,
a miracle has happened.
I have never seen that happen, and maybe Microsoft tech support is getting better. Okay. But in very rarely is it possible to get any tech support that fast. Especially if they're asking you to log into your bank account. Especially if they're asking you to download some strange third-party program. Right? And it's the equivalent is it's not so much a hack, it's a social engineering thing. We're preying on that lack of sophistication. We're portraying ourselves that we're going to help you, when in reality you're holding the door open for the thieves to
come
carry
in
your precious information out. And maybe you're even giving them your login credentials as you do it. And they victimize people of, this is not an old folks problem. It
can happen to anybody.
Folks problem.
Yes.
We see it all.
They just keep trying till they catch you off guard and catch you when you don't.
When you're not maybe fully paying attention or focused.
They send you the email that kind of looks vaguely familiar. Oh, I've done business with. Well, we get them all the time that people say, oh, it's Geek Squad. Well, Geek Squad is part of Best Buy, but there are a lot of scams out there that say Geek Squad, and people don't, they click on it, right? And suddenly they're in the middle of a scam. Well, they've done business with us before. They didn't even think about it.
They saw Geek.
They saw Geek. And so, just taking that extra time to think about it for a second. Don't call that number. No legitimate place is ever going to make you pay with a gift card or a Bitcoin.
Anybody.
Place,
yeah.
No one. And if they're asking you to do that, that should be the biggest first clue.
God, it is. It's a lot, isn't it?
It is. And it's a special, it's a special place in hell, if you will, for these people that just
agreed
that just prey on the innocence of anyone. That we want to trust people, we want to believe people, and and I think most people are reasonable, rational. We get a bill, and we're going to pay that bill. But that bill may come from someone that is merely trying to scam you. So taking that extra time, picking up the phone call if you're getting something that doesn't look quite right, and just say, hey, did you send this to me? Make all the difference in the world, and can save you many, many, many thousands of dollars.
I've been thinking, as you've been talking a little bit, and it's slightly a step away from what you're doing, but it makes me think of it just because it's been on the news fairly 24 hours a day for the last week, is the story of the missing Nancy Guthrie out of Tucson. One of the big things that I have caught out of that is she had cameras around her house, but no subscription. So, and I'm not judging, she's an 84-year-old woman, whatever, but if you have this technology, utilize it, to its full potential. And in this particular case, she had the camera. She even had one on her roof and one by her front door, and there's no subscription. So the law enforcement can't go back in and take it. And then just you're talking about Bitcoin and just sort of the scams associated with that. And I just keep thinking they keep trying, the ransom on that is to pay in Bitcoin, $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know if they gave up on the Bitcoin or if it was even real. The Bitcoin one wasn't. They arrested someone in
That
California.
one was like that was like a copycat situation.
Somebody trying to
take advantage of the situation.
They see the situation and they're
Yes.
like, I'm going to get in there and maybe they'll
Yep.
think I'm the person and they send me the money and then I'm gone.
And poof, gone. And now the ransom is gone. So, you asked the question about, the technology that we have. It kind of goes back to the same thing about the data that we have. Many people don't know there's any combination of Ring cameras, Nest cameras,
Mhm.
Google Nest, Google Home, Siri, like there's so many different devices out there. Some of them store their information locally, some of them store it in the cloud, some of them you get some free storage for a certain amount of time. There's all different kinds of things. And so it really becomes important to know what your technology is,
Mhm.
how does it work, where does it store its data. Anyone who's ever read Harry Potter, there's a line from Dumbledore that says, never trust anything that thinks for itself if you can't see where it keeps its brain. And I think that's very important in the realm of technology, of keeping an idea of where is our data going and who's holding it and how is it working, where is it recording. In the case of the technology that we install and we service at Geek Garage for our small business clients, it's technology that lives both in house but also backs up in real time out to the cloud. So right now you can pull up the camera footage of any number of these different locations in real time. You can export it. You can monitor all of that from a security standpoint. You may not be able to do that in the case of a camera that requires an always on internet connection. That was one of those, anyone who grew up watching heist movies, and I certainly did, that was one of the first things you would do, right? You cut the phone lines, you cut the communication lines.
Right.
Well, if you have cameras that require like a Google camera, a Nest camera that is only streaming out to the cloud, there isn't anything to hold that data locally. Now,
if
where
the
are
internet
those
gets
images
cut.
going? Exactly.
I guess I hadn't
Now,
even
where
thought of
is it
that.
going? Exactly.
So many of us have Ring cameras. How many homes now have a Ring doorbell? Yeah, but if your internet goes down,
now
what?
Now what?
I guess I hadn't thought of that.
And that may also maybe, in the case if you're using Wi-Fi calling, that may also be how you're calling out. Especially for folks who live in a more rural area that may not have great cellular coverage out where they're living, and they rely on that Wi-Fi calling. Now you're cut off, and that's a really vulnerable situation to look at. And so that's another, again, when we talk about redundancy and we talk about security, sometimes that looks like multiple internet connections and multiple ways of connecting to the internet. As people start worrying more about how they keep themselves and their family safe, these are things to consider. Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. So does the Geek Garage help with home security then?
Not specifically home security, no.
Okay.
What we do, we install cameras. We can provide sensors and those kinds of things. We are by no means security experts.
Sure.
We've kind of the farmer's insurance. We've seen a thing or two, so we know
a thing or two.
So we go out and what we do, but it can be sensors, it can be cameras, it can be any of those kinds of things to help improve. And it's not a monitored solution. So this is, very much, it's going to send you a text on your phone. The garage door is open, kind of thing.
Sure. More analog? Is it more analog? Is that?
No, they're all digital. They're wireless. They all integrate. But it isn't a monitored service. And so
I see.
You think about the classic commercial that someone breaks in the window and you get the phone call, is everything okay, right? Yeah. So the reality most people don't know, Lindy probably does know this, is those calls actually come from a call center in who knows where. And all they get is a notification that we've had an alarm going off at this address. They call that phone number, and if you don't answer your phone because you're at the movies, they just call the local police department and they say, we're getting an alarm. And the local police department will dispatch resources basically at the lowest priority because most of those turn out to be
Sure.
false alarms.
Right.
So the notion of a monitor, I'm not going to say having a monitored solution is never valuable, but the reality is in many cases, it doesn't
hmm
provide quite the measure of protection, and it can even create certain kinds of problems. I know in the city of Cheyenne, if you get a certain number of false alarms, now you start having to pay fees for
Sure.
those false alarms.
Sure.
So
I mean, that makes sense.
And
diverting
then they shut
resources.
off their alarm because they don't want any more false
Please.
alarms. So I don't know. Then what's the point?
Yeah, right. It becomes
Why do you have it?
Yeah, the little boy who cried wolf and nobody shows up anymore.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest thing people need to know, or what's the thing that you see happening the most around technology or security or whatever? Yeah.
Technology, it marches on, it marches on, it marches on. The biggest thing I would say, we hear a lot of people who are concerned about privacy. They're concerned about privacy. They're looking at VPNs to tunnel all of their internet traffic because they're concerned that that they're being surveilled or they're being spied upon. And the reality is, a lot of the technology that's out there that tracks you on the internet, it does it using things that you're feeding it that information. These are the things that you interact with on the apps. These are the things that you interact with on social media. These are the things that you mention. Some people swear up and down that their phone can even hear them. Oh, I was talking with my husband, right?
I actually do feel that way
All of it-
sometimes.
Right. I mean, and they
Somebody
insist.
listen.
We're
they
gonna a
insist
bunch
it
of tech
doesn't.
things on our social
They
media.
insist it doesn't work that way, but however, like ultimately this information is being gathered on us anyway. When we talk about security, again, it really goes back to knowing what information you have, knowing where is it backing up, and who has access to it, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess I don't even know. I'd have to, like with Ring, I mean, that's what I have. I don't know where it goes, but it's so handy because you can go back and see. We use it more for comical reasons
Mm-hmm.
than we do probably for security. We're watching each other. My husband thinks it's super funny when somebody comes to the door and I'm out there talking to then interrupt and talk through the Ring doorbell.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, hi, I'm here too. And you're like,
I
oh, my
know.
God.
There was one time, this poor salesman came to the door and I'm talking to him. And my husband literally, he didn't realize he'd hit a button or something. And he's like, who's this clown at our door? And it came through and it was implying about this salesman. And I'm like, what? What's happening right now? Shh.
And my
then
inner theatrical kid is just saying, I would just run with it and say, I'm really good at throwing my voice.
Yeah,
Right.
you are
Yeah.
that much more quick-witted when it
Just
comes
so-
to that than me. Awesome. Well, do you have any other questions, Lindy, about?
I don't think so.
No.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much. I didn't even know you guys built computers, so that's really cool. And if you have a very specialized, thing that, or gaming or whatever, that seems like they should get a hold of you guys for that.
And we do full installs. Like one of the things we're getting into is actually like building simulators for people with actual like racing wheels, motion actuator controls.
What about golf simulators?
We can do that too.
Oh
Come
my
see us and
gosh.
we could absolutely help you get set up with a golf simulator.
Grant's not allowed to listen to this one, Lindy.
Well, I just,
Grant, if you listen,
it's like, I
come
got
see.
you.
Oh my God. Every day it's like turning the downstairs basement into it. I'm like, your swing, our ceilings, I mean, we have 9-foot ceilings, but it's still not enough for that swing to have a golf simulator down there. We're not doing that, but I guess
There's
whatever.
always building a shop. I'm about to get
Garage.
myself into trouble right now.
You are. He would love that.
Cheyenne, we're open 6 days
He's a week. Okay. I will. Yeah, I'm sure he'll.
Right down there in Capital.
Capital right across from
Mhm.
Wells Fargo. Yep.
All right. So to wrap this up, the question, Lindy and I each have a question for everybody, and it's changed this year.
Okay.
So my question for you is, what do you think is the most important leadership trait for somebody to have, or what is one that you're aspiring, that you're working on or building to have?
I love the question. The number one thing I'd say is a strong leadership trait. You actually hit on it earlier. Is curiosity. Curiosity about your people. curiosity about the processes, about what is their work really like.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to get caught up in your own work. What does everyone else's work look like, and how does that contribute to the whole? How can I set down some of my blinders about what I assume about what I know or what I've been doing for so long? Have I gotten to the point where I think I'm so good at what I'm doing that I'm not seeing that I could be better?
Yeah.
So constantly that curiosity and that just self introspection, self awareness, are things that I have been working on for years. Some days I'm better at it than others, aren't
Yeah.
we all?
Yes.
That curiosity and just
Curiosity.
that self introspection, especially looking inward, and how do I express that and pull that out?
I love that. I like curiosity for a leadership trait as well because it removes judgment,
Mhm.
right? You go into it and you ask questions and you're there to learn. And I just love that. So awesome.
My question is, what does home mean to you?
Home. Home is where I get to express my creative self most fully. Home is where my big fluffy dog is rolling around under my feet.
What kind of big fluffy dog?
She's an Airedale. She's 9.5 years old. Her name is Astrid.
Aw.
She's an absolute doll, but I'm afraid she's wearing out. She's in
Mhm.
her golden years. So we're just spending as much time as we can and
Yeah.
spoiling her rotten, of course.
Yes.
Home is also where I can bang my piano as loud as I want. I can read my lines as loud as I need and really get into my creative place.
So piano is your instrument,
Piano is my instrument. I have a few, but piano is the
the big one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Freedom.
That's cool. I love it.
Awesome. So where can people find you or find information about the Geek Garage?
You can find us on most of the social media. We are downtown Cheyenne, 1726 Capitol Avenue. So again, right across from Wells Fargo. We're open 10 to 6 Monday through Friday, 10 to 3 on Saturday. You can also find us online, yogeekgarage.com.
Love it. Awesome.
Yay.
It's like I've said that before or something.
No,
Yes.
you said it throughout.
Now
We need
you
to say
you were
it
going to
together.
ask him about a voice. I
Yeah.
feel like we need a
Yeah,
voice
we need a
before we
voice
end here.
because he does theater, and you said you're good at voices and
Impersonations?
and then I was like, I was trying to think of a voice I could do. And I don't think
Do you
I
do
can.
impersonations?
But sometimes it's hard to do them offhand.
Yeah, you're like trying to
That's
think
fine.
of something.
We're putting you
What
on
was
the spot.
What's the most recent character you played? That one you were telling us about, and he talked a certain way.
So the character you're talking about, his name is Felix. Felix is the counterpart to Phyllis. Phyllis is my wife's alter ego, and we've actually written some original performances, some original stage plays where we get into these characters and we rip on each other. And the funny fact is, we actually do this. This is part of when you talk about comedic acting and method acting. Sometimes you just have to get into this character in your head and you have to commit to it. And you literally go all day long, right? All day long, because you have to commit to the bit. And knowing that people are going to laugh at you, you look ridiculous, you don't sound like yourself. What are you doing? You have to commit to the bit.
I love it.
So Felix is one that we've done. I love doing voices. Yeah, putting it on the spot sometimes kind of hard.
Sorry.
But no,
you nailed it. You nailed it, Warren.
I would love it. I'm gonna have to. I need to somehow figure out when you and your wife are doing that. I want to hear.
Well, we're always doing stuff. In my personal time, I spend a lot of my time in volunteering with Cheyenne Little Theater Players. We've got a show coming up. Actually got another night of auditions tonight, so we'll see. Maybe I will be on stage again very soon. But that's a cause that I personally care a whole lot about. So
Thank you for throwing that in there. We should have asked that.
Cheyenne Little
That's
Theater
awesome.
Players, come see us.
Yes. Awesome. Well, this is our February gift to you as Warren's story. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you, did I already do my? Nope. Okay. As you know, Lindy and I are realtors here at Peak Properties. So if you're looking to buy or sell, we'd love to help you with that. You can find us at sellcheyenne.com, as well as all of our social media channels. And of course, Beyond the Front Door podcast on YouTube, as well as whatever platform platform that is your favorite. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so we know you're there. We hope you have a really great day.
Thank you.